Chen Zhang, thanks for joining us. The OPR cut by Bank Negara by 25 basis points. Do you think this move was sufficient to prop up demand for property?
I don't think the cut will be able to spur the demand for property. So first of all, if you look back at the past history, right, so the time when we saw a surge in demand for property after the central bank cuts the OPR rate was during the global financial crisis. So during that period, OPR rate was slashed for several times for a total of 150 basis points. So subsequently, there's indeed an improvement, a pickup in the demand for properties, but that only happened after a year of easy monetary policy period. So this time around, the cut is just minimal at 25 basis points. So we don't think it will be enough to spur the demand for property.
Chen Zhang, the central bank has come out to say that the move was preemptive, and analysts are reckoning that there could be another 25 basis points later on this year. What do you think of benchmarks and milestones before it might institute such a move again?
So I think it will probably depends on the global development as well as on the domestic front. You'll be looking at the inflation growth number as well as the ringgit movement. So I think for Malaysia, Bank Negara side, they'll be more on a passive note, taking into consideration all of these factors before moving forward next time.
Well, the ringgit again is moving in the right direction from an export competitiveness perspective at 4.09 to the US dollar. What's an optimal situation, Tianjiang?
I think right now, if you're looking at the ringgit, right, they are actually definitely at a more weaker point as compared to the previous time. So they will definitely be able to support some of the margins for all those export-oriented sectors. But I don't think the depreciation will be more going forward because I think much of the damage have been done over the past few months.
What do you make of speculation and talk that another statutory reserve requirement cut could be in store for banks?
I think that might be one of the possible way for central bank to actually pump liquidity into the markets, especially through the banking system. But I don't think it will be enough to spur, to stimulate the economic growth going forward. I think that all these easy measures going forward might be more supportive as compared to stimulative for the economic growth as a whole in Malaysia.
Tianjiang, the property sector has been in the doldrums for the last couple of years, but Ma Sing, I think, has notably come out to say that the corner's been turned. Do you agree with him, with them? And do you think the central bank should perhaps allow banks to relax their lending guidelines?
I don't think that will be likely so because I think those macroprudential measures that were put in place by the government will actually be ongoing for some time to curb speculative activities as well as to prevent the property market from overheating. So I think that's not likely to be happen for the government side. And if you're looking at the banking side, right, they'll also be more vigilant while managing their portfolios. I think most of the banks now, they have quite high level of loan-to-deposit ratio. So at this moment, I think they'll be more prudent in approving all those loan applications that they are receiving.
Are you getting some concern that banks' NPLs might be on the rise because of the rising cost situation and loss of jobs?
Yeah, I think on the ground right now, we do see some of the banks, their NPL ratios are starting to tick upwards. But I think overall, if you're looking at their coverage ratio, they are standing at 120%. So I think they are still at a manageable level to cope with all those rising in terms of NPL.
Okay, so how have earnings been for property players as well as for banks, Tianjiang?
Yeah, if you are looking at the property players right now, since the second quarter earnings season has just started, and we can only see that a few developers have actually announced their quarterly earnings. But if you're looking at the earnings estimate-wise, on a year-to-date basis, analysts have actually been revising down their 2016 estimates or by negative 27%. So much of the earnings downgrade have actually been done during the second quarter alone. So they've been cutting the property players' earnings by 18.4%. That's quite a lot. So I think for the property side, they might be facing some margin compression going forward. And for the banking side, I don't think the outlook for this sector will be much brighter for them because eventually all these strict lending standards are still in place. So banking sectors, they might be going to see some anemic growth going forward.
Tianjiang, thank you. That was Li Tianjiang, the Senior Research Analyst at Fund Supermart Malaysia.